The farmers are taking their case to Washington later this week. Several of them will meet with members of the Missouri congressional delegation. But they'll be back, and one indication they expect to stay put a while, singer John Cougar Mellencamp has agreed to an appearance in Chillicothe on May 7th. Leanna Joyce, KCTV5 News.
Meanwhile, Chillicothe, farmers are also gaining a lot of support from the country's hottest rock and roll star. John Cougar Mellencamp has decided to put on a free concert to focus attention on the family farm crisis. And Chillicothe is getting ready for the expected crowd.
You sure can't see them, but a lot of preparations are underway in this rural town of 10,000. On the afternoon of May 7th, Chillicothe will be host to a benefit concert given by rock's John Cougar Mellencamp. The pop singer is giving a protest performance to try and draw national attention to the plight of farmers, and the town's gearing up for an expected crowd of 15,000. Motel owners say they're already feeling the crunch.
Looks like it's going to be an awful busy day. And a lot of people are going to be here. It's going to be crowded probably all the way down Worthington Avenue.
Some restaurants on the main drag are also making plans. The local Hardee's is hiring over a dozen people to be able to handle the hungry concert crowd. The city says it's not anticipating any major problems with the concert. The chief concerns are traffic and crowd control, but officials say that department's taken care of. The town's 15-man police force will get some help from farmers, the highway patrol, and the sheriff's department.
City officials offered the use of the 4-H fairgrounds as a concert site, but Mellencamp turned it down and favored the USDA Center. This is where the farmers have been protesting, and he wants to bring his message here too.
Most of the people we talked to say they're looking forward to Mellencamp's arrival, especially the teenagers, the future farmers of this community.
Is this going to help the farmers at all, this kind of a concert?
I doubt it. And maybe get a little bit more publicity, but they've already got a lot of that.
It should help the farmers a little bit. It should get them a little bit of notice.
You think Americans don't know the farmers' plight right now?
Sometimes it makes you wonder.
The appearance of John Cougar Mellencamp here today won't put any money in any farmers' pockets or stop any foreclosure proceedings. But if the point of all of this is to attract attention, then the farmers have had their way. In Chillicothe, Missouri, Bob Evans, Channel 9 News.
If John Cougar Mellencamp is campaigning for American farmers, then this is just another whistle stop. Chillicothe, Missouri, where troubled farmers cheered his small-town rhetoric and rock and roll.
Well, I was born in a small town. Man, I can breathe here in a small town.
Channel 9's Bob Evans is in Chillicothe this evening. He joins us live now by satellite and News Star 9. Bob, what's the basic reaction there?
Well, Larry and Lori, the feelings and position of the Livingston County farmers has not changed. They still want David Stallings permanently removed from FMHA operations here in Missouri, and they will continue their protest, which is now in its 72nd day. About 50 farmers rallied today in the same place they've been since all this began 2.5 months ago. They made it clear that sending David Stallings back to school for more training in management and human relations is not enough.
It's a lot more than just a communications problem and a public relations problem. It's the way that he's conducted himself in this office, and he's violated people's due process rights. We also feel like there's violations of the national class action suit.
Stallings has no problem with going back for more training and is not taking any of what has happened so far personally. But at the same time, he maintains he has done nothing wrong.
But no, I have never given the thought of resigning. One, because I have not done anything wrong.
Stallings adds that the Livingston farmers had their financial problems long before he ever got here last year. His last day here at the FMHA supervisor's office, the USDA offices here in Chillicothe, is June 9th. He'll be working out of the state FMHA office in Columbia while he's taking his courses at MU. Larry and Lori, back to you.
Certainly, Bob, the farmers you talked with seem to indicate that they are still very dissatisfied over the situation there. Have they made any more plans to protest?
Well, other than the idea of just staying here at the USDA offices and protesting on a daily basis, they haven't mentioned too much else. There were plans, at least some talk today, of going down to MU and setting up an informational picket outside the classroom where David Stallings will be taking his courses. But as to whether or not that's actually going to come to pass is yet to be seen.
Bob, thank you very much for the very latest live from Chillicothe, Missouri.
Now, George,
it's not a matter of bad farmers in trouble and good farmers are not. We should not become divided into good farmers and bad farmers. It's a matter of family farmers versus monopoly non-farming farmers.
In downtown Chillicothe, 1,400 farm families rallied in front of the Farmers Home Administration lending office where a 3-week protest continues. Jackson arrived at the rally leading a quarter-mile-long tractorcade. In his speech, he urged farmers to join other groups fighting for economic justice.
If we can play football together, if we can play basketball together, if black and white, we can go abroad and die together. We can come urban, suburban, and rural and fight for jobs and farm and peace and prosperity together.
He also called on President Reagan to enact emergency measures to help bolster the farm economy.
I would ask him to grant some emergency money right now that they might plant now, grant some emergency money for food, health care, and housing, then restructure their loans and give them a way out.
Although Reverend Jackson offered no immediate solutions to the farm crisis, farmers we talked with say he has spurred them on to band together to find solutions on their own.
We're realizing we've got to join with the unions, with the laborers, with the merchants, because all the middle-class people have got to join together and go for justice, because if they don't, they're all going to go down separately.
We should have been saying things a long time ago. There's a lot of farmers that probably aren't going to be here this time next year because we waited just a little too long to start this.
Northwest Missouri farmers also say that because of Jackson, they're now ready to play hardball. Brenda Washington, Kansas City's Channel 9.
Careless handling of a cigarette is being blamed for a house
of demonstrations against the Farmers Home Administration. Growers are protesting loan policies and the general farm economy. Jackson today called on all business and people of all walks of life to stick together.
Why do we have this crisis on the farm? It's a government-induced crisis. The government led you out on a limb and then chopped that limb. We cannot be saved just by good ideas. Good ideas come from the mind. But power comes from unity. Whenever they can play off the rural feeders and the urban eaters, we have no power. Power.
Jackson told the crowd when you have 80,000 family farmers all going out of business at the same time, that's a state of emergency, and you must act in an emergency kind of way.
That FMHA Supervisor David Stallings will be sent to school this summer to learn more about management and human relations. But the farmers say they are not satisfied with this development. They are in their 72nd day of protest over Stallings' handling of loans at the Livingston County office. While Coleman's announcement is an admission that there has been a problem in Chillicothe, the farmers say it does not go far enough, and they are vowing to stay with their tractors and combines outside Stallings' office. Meanwhile, Stallings says he's pleased with the action taken by the FMHA, and he will be happy to take a leave of absence to attend classes at the University of Missouri.
Farmers wanted him out of Livingston County permanently.
We won on certain things. There's a lot more we've got to do.
I think it's just a little tidbit to kind of try to appease us to see if we won't go ahead and move off the lot.
We're not leaving because our petition said originally we would leave when he was removed from service from USDA.
At the request of Congressman Tom Coleman of Kansas City, the Department of Agriculture will send Stallings to Columbia for an intensive 3-month program in management and human relations skills. Skills that farmers say Stallings doesn't have, and prompted the call for his ouster.
One way of talking to people and turning them down, and there's another way of turning them down, and that is to be caring, compassionate, and concerned. And I think that's what Mr. Stallings apparently lacked.
Stallings maintains he is simply following FMHA guidelines and hopes the break will give things a chance to cool down.
Most of the farmers in the county, feelings are good toward me, and I have good feelings toward them. There's a few protesters that seem to be wishing to blame someone for their problems.
The temporary removal of County Administrator Dave Stallings doesn't end the farm crisis in Livingston County, but it does ease tensions a bit.
and makes farmers feel like someone is listening to them. Reporting from Chillicothe, Missouri, Bruce Lindsay.
We have won a victory, but we have not won the war. We are not leaving the USDA parking lot with our combines or our tractors.
Once again, the farmers vowed to stay to fight for better prices and the full removal of David Stallings. From Chillicothe, Leanna Joyce, KCT.
Joining me now is Charlie Peniston, a Livingston County farmer who has been active in the protests. And Charlie, just a moment ago you heard Congressman Coleman express the hope that the farmers would give David Stallings a second chance now that he's gone back for some retraining. What do you think of that?
Well, it's not only public relations this man needs. We need to see that this man has displaced farmers off the ground. He has tried to get them to voluntary convey their farms back to them. He's trying to get farmers off the land here in Livingston County. It's not only public relation. This man has not followed the right rules and regulations that are set up by state and national FMHA. This is more than a public relations deal, and the farmers are not satisfied with this. Mr. Coleman needs to know that they're not satisfied. John Foster needs to know that we're not satisfied with the state director, and we're not satisfied with national FMHA. It's a serious problem than what they really shrugging off. It's just like somebody has misspelled a name on an application. This thing is more serious than they really realize about the farmers that are being displaced off their farm by this man, Mr. Stallings.
Okay, Charlie, thank you very much. And Larry and Lori, there you have it. The farmers here in Chillicothe are not satisfied, regardless of the fact that David Stallings is leaving town temporarily. Hopefully, we'll get more progress as this situation continues.